Are you tired of getting screwed because of the things you don't know how to do? Are you ready to do more and be more? Well, then get ready to reclaim your independence. Reclaim the knowledge that has been passed down through the generations that will make you more capable and a more confident individual in any situation. Get ready to become a reclaimed American. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Reclaimed American Podcast, your number one source for learning how to get shit done. So, today's episode is the day that I tell you what the exciting news is from last week. There are some people that already know, but for all of you that do not, the exciting news is we're having a baby. Yes, that's right. After 17 years, we are finally having our first child. My wife right now is about 8 weeks along. The first doctor visit went well. They said everything looks normal. Heart rate's good. They did all the little initial blood tests and all that good shit. And they said everything came back normal. So at the moment it seems like it is a human baby, which is good. We're super stoked about that. And we go back in a couple weeks at the 11-week mark and get all the next round of tests done. Right now, my wife technically is considered a high-risk pregnancy because even though she won't want me to tell you this, right now she is 39. In October, she turns 40, so she'll definitely be in that high-risk category because if you're over 35 and you're pregnant, they call it high risk. Now, fortunately, today's modern medicine has come along quite well, and pretty much you're good up into your, I'd say, mid-40s or later, but the earlier you can have them, the better off it is for you, the baby, and your body ultimately. Because the older you get, the less resilient certain things are. But that's where we're at right now. Like, I've got family members that have worked in labor and delivery, and especially in the high-risk labor and delivery. And they say that the oldest that they've been personally there for a delivery was like 48, and they said the lady and the baby were just fine. The oldest they had ever delivered in their hospital when she was there was 52. And that lady still did just fine, but she was just worn out at the end of it because a 52-year-old body is not meant to be delivering babies. So, at the moment, everything's going good. Everything should be good. We don't foresee any issues, but, knock on wood, right? But yeah, so that's the exciting news. And I like to tell the story that, people are like, oh, why the hell would you wait 17 years to have a baby? Well, it's not like we did that part by choice. Well, okay, the first 10 years were by choice. Or at least that's the way I like to remember it, is that for the first 10 years, we wanted to spend time with each other. We wanted to travel the world and get all that partying bullshit out of the way. And we did. We've been able to travel the world. We've done all the dumb shit, going to all the nightclubs and having parties and, all the dumb shit that people do when they're young. But now, I like to say that about 7 years ago, we started having a change in our mind shift. And then it started getting, well, if a child comes along, so be it. We stopped doing condoms, we stopped doing the pull-out method, and we just, went for it. But things just never happened. And then we started thinking, well, shit, did we miss the boat? Did we screw up by waiting so long? And, honestly, my wife had gotten to the point where she had pretty much said, you know what, screw it. I guess it's not going to happen. It's never going to be. Maybe at some point we might adopt or something, but we're kind of screwed, and we're not going to have kids. But my wife also, she started suffering from anxiety and panic attacks probably, I don't know, I'd say a good 3 to 4 years ago. And we've been to the ER quite a few times because of those late night attacks that just totally catch us off guard. She thinks she's dying. And the last couple weeks before we found out, like when she was about her 4 to 6 week mark, she was just feeling really bad. Her stomach was always hurting. Had a hard time holding food down. Her breasts started getting really sore. She said it felt like someone was like sucker punching her ovaries. And honestly, we started thinking that either she's finally snapped and gone mental, or she's got cancer. So when we went to the ER at what ended up being the 6 week mark, the ER docs, because we said her abdomen, her ovary area, that was all hurting, one of the things they did was an ultrasound. And during the ultrasound, I was not in the room, unfortunately. I was out in the waiting room because I had some other things that I was trying to get done on my phone. Work-related stuff, and also keeping an eye on all the shit that we dragged to the hospital with us. But while she was in there getting the ultrasound done, she said there were 2 techs. One of them called the other one over, and they started pointing at something on the screen, and one of them hit the little button that lets you hear what's going on, and you could hear the little heartbeat. And so my wife, her eyes like got really big, and she's like, "Is that a baby?" And the techs, kind of nodded their head, and they're like, "You didn't know?" And she's like, "No, I didn't know. I thought I had cancer." And so there you go. That's how my wife found out. So then they wheel her back out to the waiting room, and she's all tears in her eyes and crying. And I'm like, "What? What's wrong? Did they find something?" And she's nodding her head. I'm like, "Well, is it going to be okay?" And she's nodding her head, yes. I'm like, "Well, is it cancer?" And she nods her head, no. She can't talk during this point. She's just totally teared up, bawling, trying not to just blah out in the middle of the room. And I'm like, "Well, was it something in your breast, or was it something down there?" And she kind of points down there. I'm like, "Is it a?" And she nods her head. You're, and she's like, "Uh-huh." I'm like, "Oh my God. Now, unfortunately, I'm one of those people, I don't get very emotional, especially if I'm in a large, crowded public area. I tend to keep my emotions in check. It's a blessing and a curse, by the way. But I was very excited at that moment. I didn't know how to show it. So, sorry, babe. I am very excited. I was very excited at that moment. I couldn't show it because I don't know. Maybe I just don't know how. I don't know. But anyways, so right now I am insanely excited, because since that moment, like I said, we've been to the baby doc. They said everything's cool. We go back in a couple weeks, and yeah, so we're gonna have a baby. Ain't that some shit? Right now I'm 45, and I'm like, you know what? I am not in the right shape for this shit. So lately I've started working out again. It's not necessarily that I'm working out for the baby. I'm working out to make myself in better shape because I know what kind of shit I'm going to be going through later on. And I want to make sure that I'm not one of those guys that, I come home, I'm just dragging ass tired, and, the baby's like, or whatever, wanting to play, and I'm just like, get away. I don't want to be one of those guys. I want to be one of those guys that has enough energy when I get home that I can play with my kid, and to have enough energy for my wife during the later parts of the pregnancy when she's going to be moody, cranky, dog-ass tired, and I need to be the strong one to help keep everything rolling. So I'm working out. I'm excited. She's taken up walking, because honestly, my wife isn't much of an exercise person. And, in 17 years, we've both put on a little excess baggage. And, now she's got something going on that's putting on even more. So she's taken up walking. We've always been watching what we eat, or at least like the last couple years we have. And I will say something on that note. If you are one of those people that eats food out of a can or out of a package, just for the sake of doing it, look at the salt content, the sodium content of your packaging. And if you know anything about salt, you're supposed to only have like 2,000 or 2,500 milligrams of sodium per day, max. And if you look at a lot of these prepackaged foods, like you'll get like a can of something, and you might look on the can, it says, 400 milligrams. But that's for 2 servings of something that typically you would eat the whole damn thing by yourself. So now you're up to 800 milligrams, and that's just part of your meal. So think about that, because if you or anyone in your family has issues with high blood pressure, sodium is a huge component to that. And that's one thing we're trying to stress to my in-laws, because both my mother-in-law and I think my father-in-law, they both kind of suffer from high blood pressure. My mother-in-law more. She even has medication for high blood pressure. And, lately we've been spending a lot more time over at their house, and it's amazing the amount of salt that they consume every day. Between packaged foods, they'll cook something, and I like putting garlic or garlic powder in a lot of the things I cook. They like using garlic salt. And, oh my God, then, they'll put a shitload of garlic salt in the pan while they're cooking. Then they get the food over to the table, and they put more salt on top of it. And my wife and I are like, holy crap, no wonder you've got fucking high blood pressure. Look at all this frickin' salt you're consuming. And they're just like, okay. My wife's parents, if you don't remember, are from Costa Rica. Their English is a little bit limited, but they do speak it. But yeah, my wife will start freaking out on them about some of the things they eat, and they're just like, "Wow, there's nothing wrong with it," But no, packaged foods are one of the worst things for you. McDonald's, Burger King, fast food in general, I swear it's designed to kill you. I think everybody's in it on like a huge conspiracy to make us all sick so the pharmaceutical industry can get rich. But yeah, watch your salt content, people. It's scary how much you'll consume and not even realize it. But anyways, I'm going to wrap things up. We've been back and forth between our house and our in-laws' house because we're trying to clean ours up, which means I'm spraying a lot of cleaning chemicals. I'm actually getting ready to start painting some of the bedrooms, so we don't want my wife to be around it. Maybe some of it's not quite so bad, but, hey, we're excited. This is our first one. We're not risking it. So she's pretty much staying over there as much as possible. So that's a wrap. I'm going to close it up, and I will see y'all next time. And I think what I'll do is periodically on the shows, I'll give you an update based on our last doctor's visit. So I hope you don't get tired of me talking about a baby, because I'm going to talk about a baby every now and then. But anyways, I'm excited. I don't know if y'all are excited or not, but you know what? Doesn't matter, because I'm excited. Anyways, see y'all later. Thank you for listening to the Reclaimed American podcast. If you're ready to do more and be more, start by leaving us a rating and review on iTunes or Google Play. Then join our community on Facebook and Instagram at Reclaimed American, and join us over on our website at reclaimedamerican.us.